And a good start from Max Verstappen. Is he going to get Carlos Sainz? He's trying around the outside into turn one. Verstappen goes in a second, just does it. Gets past Carlos Sainz, battles for the lead. Max Verstappen gets alongside Charles Leclerc. He takes the lead of the Miami Grand Prix. Max Verstappen comes out of the final turn in Miami to take victory. He takes his third win of the season.
Yes, yes. What a race, mates. That was nice. Tough one, but really good.
Race 5 of the 2022 season, and it was another cracker. And of course, Max Verstappen getting his second consecutive victory. Are Red Bull now on a roll? Well, let's dissect it all on this week's F1 Nation with me, Tom Clarkson, and with no Natalie Pinkham and Damon Hill this week. I'm delighted to say that we have Marcus Ericsson as our Damon Hill. Marcus, of course, 5 years in Formula One. You're an IndyCar star now, but what have you made, first of all, of that performance from Red Bull?
I think it was very impressive to see. Again, seeing Red Bull and Max stepping it up when it needed, in the race. I think the race pace they've got the last couple of races, they've had the edge on Ferrari, right? So it's close, but yeah, Max is doing a very, very good job at the moment.
I feel the momentum is with them now, do you?
I feel so as well, and it's, twice now they've been overtaking Charles, and the Ferraris had track position, but they can, they have a little bit more pace, it feels like, especially in the races. So I think Ferrari has a bit of work to do to sort of get that back. It's still very, very close, but yeah, Max is doing a very, very good job.
He's on a roll, isn't he? Now, another band member with us this evening is, of course, Sam Power, Channel 10. He's an expert host, of course, in the Paddock Club as well. Sam, as we started the Miami Grand Prix with Charles Leclerc on pole position, where did you think this race was going to go? In which direction?
It was hard to say, but I mean, every single week we do this time and time again, don't we? We come into the weekend, Ferrari look unbelievably strong. We think, oh, they're just going to walk it. And then, as you said, Max comes fighting back and the race pace is there. But it was such a yo-yo Grand Prix as well, because then out of nowhere, Charles had fastest laps, was hunting down Max, started to close the distance. Like it was extraordinary to see what happened.
Ferrari, second and third. They're now only 6 points ahead of Red Bull Racing. And when you consider all the retirements that Red Bull have had this year, I think we need to see a reaction from Ferrari now, do you?
Absolutely. They need to, they can't be complacent with the advantage that they had at the start of the year. That's now all but evaporated. We're about to go back into the European season where there's going to be update central going on the cars. Interestingly enough, a lot of porpoising seems to be, I guess, reduced at this Grand Prix circuit. A lot of that's down to the way the track is, but I think, honestly, they've got to get a wiggle on, because Red Bull are really proving to be an unbelievable force now in this championship.
Christian Horner, of course, team principal of Red Bull, is with us now. Was it ever in doubt, really, in your mind?
Never. Well, only from about lap one, but... yeah, look, it was an incredible race by Max again. The start was crucial, the pass, the tyre management, and Deg was vital, and he made it work. And then the pressure he was under after that last safety car, he just couldn't break the toe or the DRS, and it was just vital not to make a mistake. And he just kept it very clean, and a great race, great victory.
It was a messy start to the weekend for you guys on Friday. Is it a surprise to have come out with the number of points that you have?
Well, yeah, absolutely, because losing all that track time on a new track, was expensive for us. There was a few things we would have changed with more data, but he made a great recovery, and to win today, and it was a tough win as well. Ferrari were a great opponent, but it was important for us for both championships.
Bigger picture stuff now. The Miami Grand Prix.
Great. The reception. I've never had a Grand Prix I've been so busy. I was relieved when the lights went out. The reception that we've had here in Miami has been insane this weekend, and you can see America's waking up to Formula One, and that's so exciting, because it just takes it to a new dimension.
It's certainly been brilliant. Thank you very much, Christian. Adrian, we always do this to you as you're about to leave, but 2 on the bounce now. Things are looking pretty good as far as you see it.
Crikey, as you saw, again, it's so close. You really can't say that, and as I said last time, we only got to look back at last season, where there were a few races where we had some pretty good dominant wins, Austria, so forth, Mexico. and then the next race it swings around. So it's really can't be relaxed at this point, that's for sure.
Well, look, with your race engineering head on, how challenging has this track been? Has it been a fun one to do from your point of view?
It has actually been quite a difficult track because the tarmac is completely different. They've used granite as the substrate, and that kind of the way that the tyres behave on that has been a bit different to what we've experienced at the first four. So there's a bit of learning to do, and to be perfectly honest, I think maybe everybody, because of all the red flags we'd had in the practice sessions, nobody really got some proper good long runs in. So exactly how the tyres were going to behave in the race, how far we get with the mediums. Once we did stop with the mediums, if we were forced to stop early, would we get one stop on the hards from the end? It's so difficult.
I've been told that you've got to go. I always delay you for your flight, Adrian, but many congratulations. Well done. Great effort. Look, Marcus, just a word on Formula One in the United States, right? You've been out here now for how many years?
Yeah, I've been here for 3 years.
Is Formula One gaining traction? I mean, we believe it is inside our Formula One bubble, but is that actually what's happening over here now?
100% it is. You know, you can tell, or I can tell that all the people I speak about when I say, you know, I'm racing in IndyCar or whatever, everyone talks about Formula One. Everyone talks about the Netflix show. Everyone, you know, watches the races now. And I think this weekend was a good, you know, showing of that because everyone wanted to be here, right? Like I called up a couple of weeks ago and I was like, hey, can I get a ticket? And I called Alfa and they were like, we get you one for Friday. And I'm like, seriously? Like I drove 4 years for you guys. Like, can you not give me a ticket? And like, it's crazy. And then yeah, luckily he could give me a ticket for the whole weekend. But yeah, I think that shows how popular it is these days.
Now, we've made our way down to Ferrari, and it's great that you're on the show because you can give us some insight into the World Championship leader that very few people can, Marcus. Charles Leclerc, you were his teammate, of course, at Alfa Romeo back in 2018. First of all, just tell us what is so special about that guy, and then we'll talk about his race in a bit.
I think, you know, already in 2018 when he came into Formula One, you could tell straight away that he's an extremely fast race car driver. I think there's no doubt about that. I think everyone can see that. But the way also he works, you know, his work ethic, you could tell that straight away. He was so determined to do well and to learn, to speak to me. He asked me a lot of questions. I had, you know, quite a bit of experience at that point.
Did you tell him the truth?
Yeah, I mean, I did. But you know, he was super fast straight away in the car. And then the way he sort of, you know, his own worst critics. You know, he always, you know, are self-critical when he does mistakes and, you know, owns up to them and learn from them. And I think that's one of the biggest strengths of Charles Leclerc, that he do mistakes sometimes, but he learn from them and you know, move on and become stronger. And it's good to see him this year when he really have a car that he can, you know, win and fight up front, and he's been delivering.
How do you think he's going to deal with this season-long pressure from Max Verstappen? Is he a cool head?
He is a cool head, you know, and I think he's gonna thrive in it. I think he's gonna do really well with it because I think from at least what I saw when I was teammate with him, you know, the more pressure there was on him, the better he performed. You know, he was that kind of guy, and I think, you know, he's been frustrated the last couple of years because Ferrari hasn't had the car to really fight up front, and now he has it. And I think, you know, from what we've seen so far, he seemed to be, you know, delivering when he has that pressure on him.
And were you getting excited after the safety car at the end of the race? You know, he I don't know whether they turned the engine up on that, but he was suddenly really, really quick, wasn't he? Right on Max's gearbox. He
was right there and, you know, trying to take advantage of it. And it was not far away that he could have a go at him as well. So, you know, that shows that it's, you know, he's in the mix all the time, and you can never count him out.
We're talking about Ferrari, and we're joined now by a man who I think is a Ferrari fan. Ian Poulter, you've got red shoes on. Is that because you're a Ferrari fan?
I'm an F1 fan more than I am like having to pick an individual brand. I play golf with Lando.
How good is Lando's golf? Sorry to interrupt you.
I tell you what, he's actually very good for someone that's only picked up a club in the last 2 years. He probably spends more hours on a golf course than he actually does racing that car.
What did you make of this whole Miami event?
I'm blown away by it, to be honest. I think, you know, looking at it from a fan perspective, every credit to Formula One to try and expand and grow Formula One inside America, right? I think it's been too long. It's such a massive market. I think Netflix has done such an amazing job from a fan base perspective to kind of grow the drivers, the team principals, the teams themselves. Like, it's about time, it kind of exploded over here. So this was a perfect scenario, I think, to kick it off. I'm sure there's some tweaks that they're going to need to make over the next couple of years to make it better, but the paddock has been
mental.
It has been mental. No, I don't know. It has been absolutely mental for people that haven't been in a paddock before. And I've been fortunate enough to be in the paddock a couple of times. I don't know how many extra people there were here this week, but it was intense. But it's been wild. I've loved every minute of it. Joshua, my 10-year-old, has got bags of goodies, which he's
oh my God, he's got literally every signature.
He's got hats, he's got shirts, he's got, it's been great. It will be nice to watch the race back, I think, again, like with a bit of peace and quiet, because, I really didn't see an awful lot of the race. Catching up with too many great people, good friends. It's been amazing.
Thank you so much for your time. Glad you enjoyed
thanks
it.
for having
Cheers.
me.
All right, bye. Well, that's Ian Poulter, golfer extraordinaire. Sam, by the way, Marcus, is a mad keen golfer. Prior to that, Marcus, you were telling us about Charles Leclerc. Very solid race to second place. Now, Carlos Sainz, the guy has had an absolute mare for the last 2 races, hasn't he? How important was that podium today for him?
I think for his confidence, it was extremely important. And I think also, bouncing back from that Friday he had, that Friday, spinning in FP1 and then crashing in FP2, to come back from that and have such a strong qualifying that he had. I think that was super impressive to be that close to Charles and then have a really solid race, no mistakes, and, being there on pace as well. I think he really needed that after the last couple of weekends. So, really good for Carlos.
Yeah, and of course he's got a tough teammate that you know all about. The thing is now, he's only got, less than half the points of Charles Leclerc, and we know how competitive Red Bull are now. Are there going to have to be some serious conversations at Ferrari now about who they support in that team, or is it too early in the season for that?
I think Charles is taking that leader role this year now, and I think, they're going to have to support him for that championship, I believe so. I think the way Carlos has been driving the last couple of weekends, it doesn't seem like he maybe agrees on that. He's trying to be ahead of Charles, but, like we've seen in the past, it's always good for a team going for a championship to have a clear leader that goes for it, like Max and Lewis has been the last few years. So I think the support will go in Charles' corner going ahead.
So Marcus, obviously you're saying that Ferrari really need to back Leclerc now. Does that same thing apply to Red Bull? Are they going to pick the same their man for this race, or is it still close between them?
No, I think it's the same in Red Bull. I think it's going to be, what I see at least, it's going to be that season-long battle between Charles and Max going at it for the World Championship, and I think that would be amazing. And I think, Checo, he's been doing a really good start to the season, but I think, Max has that edge on him and he has the team behind him. So, that's how I see it going forward.
The other thing I wanted to quickly touch on is that Red Bull seem so strong in the pit stops, and so long as they've got these two cars in the race, it just gives them so many strategy options, and that seems to be putting pressure on Ferrari because their pit stops were not quite up to the standard that they perhaps would like.
It's been something Red Bull over the years, right? They've always had one of the best pit crews in the paddock, and that's definitely very important. I mean, it's race changing.
Marcus, look, we've come down now to Alfa Romeo Sauber. You spent 4 years racing with these guys. I feel they've got all the facilities. I think Fred Vasseur, the team principal, knows his eggs when it comes to motor racing, doesn't it? Do you see any reason why this team can't make great strides?
I do not. I think they've done an incredible job with these new regulations. Ferrari has obviously stepped it up, but you can definitely see that the car is also extremely good, and Valtteri has come into the team with a sort of, fresh start for him, and he's been doing a tremendous job so far, and it's good to see. Like I said, I was here 4 years. I know how hard these people work, so I'm really, really happy for them.
I keep saying to you, Marcus, you're good at this broadcasting stuff, because we're now segueing into a chat with Valtteri Bottas. This is a walk and talk. VB, another great race. How do you feel after that one?
It was hot. It was physical. I would say it compares as a driver to Singapore. It's pretty close, and I was really hoping for P5 because everything was running pretty smoothly, till the safety car. But then, some cars, like example George, he could stop for new tire. He ran really long first stint, so I think he got a bit of a benefit from there. And then I lost a couple of places, but hey, still some points.
And how competitive was your car this weekend?
It was good. Qualifying by pure pace, we were 5th, and I honestly think in the race we should have been able to hold Mercedes behind if there was no safety car, so not bad.
And Marcus was just saying that you've brought a little bit of magic to this team this year. You seem, I reckon, happier than you've been for a long time in Formula One. Is that an outrageous statement?
It's not a crazy statement, no. No, I think it's pretty obvious that I'm enjoying the driving, and it's good fun.
Okay, well, VB, well done today.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming on the show.
No worries.
Trying to pay off debt is one of the most stressful things you can do, especially when you need to keep track of multiple payment dates, interest rates, and balances. But it doesn't have to be that way. Say goodbye to juggling due dates by consolidating your debt with a personal loan. That way, you'll only have one balance and due date to keep on top of each month. Credit Karma can help you find the best personal loan option for you. By using your credit data, Credit Karma is able to find loan offers that are personalized to you, so you don't have to spend hours researching on the internet. And what's great is that alongside your list of options, it even shows you your chance of approval. So if you find the right one for you, you can apply with confidence. And don't worry, comparing loan offers on Credit Karma is 100% free and won't affect your credit score, which is great news for your financial profile in the long run. Credit Karma. Apply with more confidence today. Ready to apply? Head to creditkarma.com/loan offers to see personalized offers. Go to creditkarma.com/loan offers to find the loan for you. That's creditkarma.com/loan offers. We've made our way down to Williams. Here is Jos Capito, boss here at Williams. But Jos, you've got a smile on your face. He's delivered again. Alex Albon back in the points.
Yeah, Alex is very consistent, and if he smells a chance to get a point, I think he's going for it. And so far, he always got it. Yeah, it's twice. So, but I think there's still more to come from him.
Just how impressive was his race today?
Yeah, all his races were impressive so far. Were really very impressive, isn't it? And the car seems to be really good on the race stint, and so the race speed is pretty good.
With Albon's strategies, do you predict some of these before you actually come into the race? I mean, Australia, he did an unbelievable stint. He is now the tyre whisperer of Formula One. I mean, this guy's incredible.
Yeah, of course, we didn't plan that for Australia. You couldn't. We just seen that the tyres got quicker and quicker, and so it's okay. We just hope for a red flag. Said, it will come, it will come, it will come. At the end, it didn't come, but it worked out to be a point. And he could push on these tyres at the end, so that made it. And here we did a normal strategy, I think, so it was nothing very special.
And Jos, where are you at with the development of this car now? Is there a lot coming for Barcelona at the next race?
No, you have to be very careful what you bring on development, because on the cost cap you can't have smaller steps. You have to prove that you have a bigger step and then bring a bigger step, but that you do all the parts that work then together. Otherwise you can never be within the cost cap. That makes it tricky.
Very well done to the team. Thank you, Jos. And we can see a red-headed tyre whisperer.
What have you done to your hair?
Whoa. Hang on. You don't want to know how much I paid for this. So the first one I got done by orphans. So, you know, there's a bit of it's a great cause. And if it's not great, that's fine. But this is done professionally.
With a spray can?
Very professionally. Yeah, exactly. It's bright as anything.
Alex, come on. That was another amazing race by you. I mean, how does this one compare to that 10th place in Melbourne a couple of races ago?
I would say this one is not as surprising, because all weekend, really, apart from qualifying, we've been in the top 10 more or less every session. And the qualifying was the anomaly. It really was disappointing. You know, we were really frustrated because it was one of them things where we were just quick the whole time, and then you start the race and it's almost like, you know, we've had a good car and now we're starting in a position which is, you know, like the races before. And so once the race went underway, I mean, I overtook George for a little bit. I mean, he overtook me straight back. That's besides the point.
You enjoyed that, didn't you?
Yeah, I did enjoy that. And we were quick, we were catching the cars in front of us. We were setting good lap times. Of course, we had that little bit of chaos in front of us, which helped us. But again, we were there, and again, we took a bit of not an obvious risk on strategy, but we stayed out. We didn't box like other people, and it played out fine. I think we got P9. I think during this conversation, I think Alonso's been pinged for. So apparently he got 5 seconds for causing a collision
with Gasly.
Then he cut the chicane twice. I finished the race 5.2 seconds behind him, so I was just over 2/10 to get P9, and he cut the chicane twice to pull that gap. And when I told the team, listen, I can cut the chicane, I would have got 3/10. I would have finished P9. And apparently he's just got penalised for that one. So it's 2 separate 5-second penalties.
But you are P9. I think you're destined to have red hair for the rest of your life. Certainly the rest of your Formula 1 career, because it's bringing you luck.
I might go bald by then. But
if everyone thinks it's actually going to work, everyone else is going to spray paint their hair. So this could go crazy. This could go viral.
I might have to do it for the Indy 500 if that's the thing,
I think you'd look great with red hair, by the way. Alex, just talking seriously for a second about performance, we had a chat with Valtteri Bottas just a moment ago, and he said he's really happy at his new team and it's bringing the best out of him. And I'm sensing something similar here with you and Williams. Is that right?
Yeah, it's we've hit the ground running and just gelled as a team. It's always a bit of a learning process, just to understand how the team operate and they got to understand also how I drive the car. But, we get on really well, and I really enjoy the environment that I'm in. I feel like I can be a team leader and I can guide things, and also at the same time, we're hungry, both of us. We're both on what it feels like a forward trajectory, and I enjoy it very much.
Very well done today. Have a great time. After a race like that, you deserve it. Alex, thank you very much. We're going to do a bit of a sort of Williams thing now, because Logan Sargeant's with us now. So, American driver, Miami Grand Prix. How mega is it? How busy has it been for you to start with?
To be honest, I've been flat out the last 4 days. Honestly, I haven't stopped. I've been doing live grid walks and live pit lane walks. That's a first. But
are you enjoying life on this side of the fence?
Definitely. I don't feel like I'm quite as cut out for it as a driver, but no, it's going good.
Cool. And this momentum that's being built in America now with Formula One, how is that going to help you in your quest to get in a race seat in Formula One?
Well, as long as if the results aren't there, it doesn't really matter. So I'm still just worried about doing my job and producing good results, and I'm sure the opportunity will come.
And that's in Formula 2, and of course 2 weeks' time in Barcelona.
That is right.
All right, best of luck with that.
Thank you
Logan. So that's Logan Sargeant. Marcus, you race against these American guys week in, week out now. Who is the hottest property, do you think? Who's the next American in Formula One? Is it someone in IndyCar?
It's Colton Herta.
It is Colton Herta?
I think so, yeah. I think, he's extremely good. I've been racing against him the last 3 years now, and he's super, super fast. He needs to get a bit, bit more consistent maybe. He's a bit up and down in IndyCar at the moment, but one of the fastest guys I've ever raced. And I think, now when he had his contract with McLaren for testing there, I think he's definitely in line. But maybe I don't know Logan very well. He's been racing here in Europe when I've been over in America, but I think definitely we need an American in F1.
I caught up with Colton a little bit earlier, and this is what he had to say about his prospects of getting a Formula One seat.
It is a serious ambition of mine. There's a lot of things that, when I am done racing, I want to be able to say that I did. And Formula One's, pretty high on the list for one of those things, right? I wanted to get to IndyCar, wanted to race in the Indy 500. Still want to win the Indy 500, obviously, which I haven't done yet. But yeah, there's a big list of different races, events, series that I want to be a part of. And Formula One is definitely, higher up on the list than a lot of things.
And for people who don't know, how much road racing experience have you got?
That's my primary background, right? Grew up in karting, so obviously permanent road course, a lot of stuff, and then came into Skip Barber, in F1600, and again, all permanent road racing. And then over to F4 and F3 when I was 15 and 16, and back over to Indy Lights until I made the jump to IndyCar. So the primary background of me is in oval racing, which I think a lot of people think of when they think of IndyCar drivers, and they come up through quarter midgets or some sort of open wheel oval type racing, which isn't the case, and it's just not the case nowadays. So yeah, the primary background is in road racing.
And of course, you have been a teammate of Lando Norris when you came over to the UK for a couple of years. Have you got happy memories of that time?
That was so much fun. I mean, it's so good for me, not only as like a racing driver, to be able to, grow and get better, because there was no distractions over there, right? Like I think my first year I did 30 races and 25 test days, which is just crazy. There wasn't more than 4 days during the race season that I wasn't in the car, which was awesome. And it really, that's what you need when you're young, right? You need laps, and obviously Lando is a great teammate, and he's gone on to do great things. And so it was cool to look back at and say, yeah, I got to kick that guy's ass on some weekends. But no, it was awesome. He's a spectacular driver. I don't need to say that, everybody knows that. But it was really cool that we kind of both made it into our respective professional careers.
He was asked about you the other day, and he said even back then you were really quick through fast corners.
Right.
That's your thing. That's your trademark.
I guess that's why I'm an oval racer, right? It was interesting, and it was very interesting for me this weekend that a lot of the trends that he showed in Formula 4, because I was able to look at the data after each session of him compared to Ricciardo, and a lot of the trends of what he's good at and what he's struggled at is still a thing, right? It's still like everybody says, right, they have their driving style, and that's what they mean by that. I was always very good, and still am in the fast corners. Lando is very good in technical bits, getting the speed down to the apex properly and still getting a good exit. And it's cool to see that that's still kind of a trend that he's really good at.
So look, what is the plan going forward, Colton? You're going to test last year's McLaren. We know that already. Do you have a date for that?
Yes, there is a date for it.
Are you allowed to reveal it?
I'm not. I probably could, but I don't know. I might get in trouble, so I'm not going to. But it is going to be later in the year. I can say I'm going in June to Woking for a seat fit and then some simulator stuff. So I'm looking forward to that. Last time I was there was in 2019, I believe, and just to do, I think I did 1 day of sim. And so I didn't really get to see the factory, which I'm hoping I get a nice tour of. I know they're very secretive of everything, so hopefully I can see all the bits and bobs. But so that's going to be the first step, and then obviously testing later in the year, which is going to be fantastic. I'm really looking forward to it.
What is the hope that the test might lead to a race seat here at McLaren?
I want to be in F1, at some point in my career, and obviously time is essential to that. So, it's going to be very important to do a good job in the test and hopefully open some doors. As far as I'm concerned right now, right, I don't have a race seat. I don't have a contract for one. So anything can happen for sure. But I'm hoping, if this doesn't lead to anywhere with McLaren, it gets people talking a little bit more, and maybe we'll open a door if I can go quick enough in the car.
Well, Colton, hope you make it. Thanks for your time.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, so you were absolutely right, Marcus. He really wants it, doesn't he?
Yeah, and I think, I love IndyCar, and I think we all of us that races in IndyCar, we love it and have so much fun there, but Formula 1 is still Formula 1, right? And I think for Colton, like he says, being in Europe, racing there on the ladder to F1, I think definitely, he want to take that chance if it shows up. And like I said, I think for America, the way they push it so hard now with the race in Miami this weekend, Las Vegas added to the calendar for next year, the next step is to get an American driver on that grid.
Do you spend a lot of time in Vegas? If you live over here, I'm a little bit worried that I'm not going to make it through the Vegas weekend.
You want to know something funny? I've been here for 3.5 years now, and I've never been to Vegas.
Is that because you don't trust yourself?
Exactly. Yeah. It's like, I know it's trouble. Maybe I have been there. I just don't remember it.
If you'd been on the pit wall in Miami and you were team principal of Ferrari, Red Bull, Mercedes or McLaren, what different moves would you have made? Would you have wanted to call your drivers in for a pit stop when the safety car came out? Do you think the race would have turned out differently? Well, now you can put yourself to the test with F1 Manager 2022. F1 Manager 2022 is a new, fully licensed management game putting you in the role of team principal at your favourite Formula One team, ready to take on all the challenges of the 2022 season and beyond. Giving you the most authentic F1 management experience, fully licensed and brought to you in broadcast quality presentation. Drive every decision as team principal. Choose how to develop your car as the season progresses, manage your staff and hone your race strategy for each weekend. Live the drama of Formula One on and off the racetrack. Be prepared to react to dynamic events such as changing weather, evolving track conditions or race incidents. Vote on upcoming rule changes to swing things in your favour and come out on top. Launching on PC, PlayStation and Xbox, summer 2022. Visit f1manager.com to wishlist the game on your platform of choice and follow F1 Manager on Twitter to stay up to speed. We're now walking back down the paddock. It seems everyone is heading to the airport with Andreas Seidl now, team principal of McLaren. Andreas, after the highs of Imola, this must be a frustrating result for you.
Yeah, no, definitely disappointing to leave the track with 0 points. We knew from Friday onwards that the track really didn't suit our car, so it's always clear today that it was the maximum we could have done. Probably was a P8 behind the Mercedes cars and Valtteri. I think there was a chance to do that, but then unfortunately with the incident we had with Lando, with Pierre, that took away any chance, so disappointing, but we know what we have to improve on the car. We simply have to keep working hard in order to bring these upgrades to the track.
But have you found consistency with this car now? I mean, is it going to continue being track specific, or do you think you can find consistency everywhere we go now?
Well, of course, the target is obviously clear. We want to have performance every race weekend, independent of track layout, temperatures, tyre selection and so on. We know clearly about the weaknesses the current package has and what we have to address. And let's speak in a couple of weeks again, once we have some upgrades on the car, and then we see where we are.
And is there stuff coming for Barcelona?
As you know, there's a lot of parameters you have to consider when you bring these upgrades now. You have to manage the budget cap, you have to manage the wind tunnel hours, and then need to decide when you want to invest your money. That's a process still in progress, but I'm very happy with the results I'm seeing back home, and let's wait and see.
Now, I don't know how you guys managed to do any work at all this weekend. Your garage has had more slabs in it than I think anyone else's. I mean, I even saw you with Paris Hilton on the grid. And James Corden, and it's been mad, hasn't it?
Yeah, it was an unbelievable weekend for us as a team, for Formula One in general. It's great to see the big hype about Formula One here in the States, and for us as McLaren team was a mega important weekend. Very important partners have been here with us. Crazy to see also how many McLaren fans have been around and out there on the grandstands. So I think everyone felt proud being part of the team this weekend, experiencing this. I hope we do a better result next year here.
It sounds like the ethos in the team is going unbelievably well. Almost everyone I speak to in McLaren is just saying how happy they are to be there. The team is just gelling. Like, you've got to be unbelievably proud of that, because that's under your leadership.
Well, obviously, when you look back now the last 3 years, it's great to see the steps we could make forward as a team. In the end, results in motorsport or success is the result of a big team effort. It's not about individuals. And I think we have a great team in place with the right talents. We have a clear direction of where we want to heading to. It's good to see that we made these steps already the last 2 years, but at the same time, that's not what we wake up for in the morning. We want to get back to win races and fight for championships. We have a clear plan in place of how we make the next steps. Heads down, let's keep going.
Well, thanks for joining us, mate. I really appreciate it. We'll let you catch your flight.
Cheers, guys.
So Lando, of course, crashing out when he had that collision with Pierre Gasly. Daniel Ricciardo, 13th place.
It's definitely not what Daniel wants. I think, he's been pushing really hard to take a step this year, and he is closer, but there's no doubt that Lando still has the upper hand. And, again, this weekend, Daniel was struggling a little bit and just missing out on points as well. It's definitely going to be a disappointment for him. And it will be another interesting sort of intra-team battle to follow this season, because Daniel definitely don't want to be that second driver within the team.
While we're talking of these sort of intra-team battles, we're now down at Mercedes. I'm not going to jump on the bandwagon and say Lewis Hamilton's having a rubbish season. He isn't at all. But George Russell has definitely come in and shown that he is a serious racing driver capable of mixing it with the best, hasn't he?
100%, and I think you could see today that when Lewis got passed by George there in the end, he didn't like that, and he was complaining about the strategy on the radio and stuff like that. So he's definitely not liking that George has been beating him here in the start of the year. And like you say, George has come in and it's been super, super strong and super impressive. And Lewis definitely has a battle on his hands there going forward.
We've been talking about Lewis and George, and suddenly here is James Vowles from Mercedes. Let's start by talking about your drivers and the job that George Russell's been doing this year.
It's a strong job. I mean, it's always difficult when you come against really the best in the world. And it creates an amount of pressure you would never have felt previously. I mean, obviously George is a champion in F2 and F3, but it really does, it's a new game, it's a new way of dealing with it. And for a driver, it's an incredible amount of pressure that they have to deal with very quickly. It's also a new environment. He's gone from Williams to here. He's worked harder in every area, communications, engineering, etc. That's not that Williams do a bad job, it's just that we have an amount of sponsors that he has to appease here. And he's dealing with all of that and still producing incredible amounts of performance in a calm way on track. Where George is now is, it's not that the pressure's not affecting him, but he's dealing with it all in his strides. He's calm, he's collected, his communication is fantastic, and frankly, he's doing a great job.
When you look at his data, what impresses you the most?
I think the main thing from him is that the ability to chip away at it. So he sometimes starts a little bit offset, but it just across the weekend just chips away at it. And by the time he comes to qualifying, makes a little step, and as he gets into the race, carries on that learning and going through. And that's what you're looking for a driver. You're looking for a driver that's not overreaching and going backwards, but just a consistency that he can build on, a foundation he can build on, and then get quicker and quicker from there.
So James, what about your race car? There's so many people willing it to the front. And there was, I think, hope after Friday when George was fastest in FP2. It then dropped away a little bit. Can you just talk us about where the performance went?
Yeah, I mean, you picked up on the right things. On Friday, it's not that we were running low fuel. That car was quick. It was quick on one lap. It was quick on the long run that we did at the end of FP2. And it's also fair to say, as we went to Saturday and from Saturday onwards, the car dropped away, as you said, a little bit. Probably that's being generous. It dropped away quite a bit. If we understood all of the reasons why, clearly the car would be quick in the race or quick in qualifying, and we don't yet. But there's another step of learning that we made this weekend, because we are able, for the first time, not just in FP2 but in FP1 as well, to get both cars into a sensible place. Different track, different conditions, but even so, it provides again, I use the word foundation to work on from here onwards into Barcelona to go. But exactly why, we couldn't tell you at this point in time. We don't know specifically why it dropped the performance in the way it did. The positive, though, is that we have a car that's producing thousands of channels of data that we can now overlay to each other. Same track, nearly enough the same conditions, a little bit of wind rotation, where it has gone a lot slower. So let's try and understand why. The difference, though, on Friday is normally through the corners, we would lose quite an amount of lap time, especially through high-speed corners, and that had gone. We were just, through the cornering performance to Ferrari, near enough equal. And to Red Bull, we're actually gaining to them through 11 to 16, and that's a different pattern to what we've seen all year.
With all of the resources that you have available to you, I mean, you've got some incredibly talented engineers as well. Where does the complexity of finding out where the performance is unlocked, like where does that come from? Why is it hard to figure out where the direction that you need to take for this car?
It's a mighty fine question. I think the visible external thing...
He's good, isn't he? Yeah. Mighty fine question.
Mighty fine. The thing that everyone externally can see with the cars is obviously the bouncing. The bouncing affects near enough everything. But it's not a unique problem to us. In fact, with the Red Bull, for the first time in a while, you saw them at the end of the race suffering from the same issue. It's a complex aerodynamic problem that's an instability that is very difficult to resolve with one single solution. It's not just that you cut the floor in one place and there you go. We have not found a solution that maintains performance on the car and reduces the bouncing, which there has an impact on a number of other systems at the same time. And I would say there are some teams clearly in a better position than we are. It doesn't mean their bouncing is better, their performance that they're able to extract is better. Doing it in the right way so that you can understand, not just for this year, but across this regulation set, what solutions are right is what's tricky. So in other words, it may well be another team potentially in the year goes backwards a little bit as the result of adding an update that negatively impacts it. And that's why it's complex. It's making sure we do the things that are right, not just for today or tomorrow, but for the next 3 years.
If we remove the lap time out of it, do you just love this engineering challenge? Because it sounds so complex, it sounds so intriguing, it sounds like something that all of these teams want to sink their teeth into, and it's kind of a fun problem to solve?
Yeah, it's a double-edged sword. And what I mean by that is, this is our life. It's not just our job, it's our hobby, it's our passion, it's every minute that we can spend of free time is thinking about this. So the benefits are, it's an incredibly complex puzzle that when we resolve it, and we will resolve it, will be so rewarding. The downside to that is you invest so much of you into it that it just takes over your life. And so that's what I meant by double-edged sword. Yes, everyone's enjoying the puzzle, but it's not that we don't feel the pressure of the millions around the world that want us to be doing well. We do, and we're doing our utmost to fix it. And it'll be the release of that will be worthwhile as well.
And how important is it going back to Barcelona, a track you've been to before with this car, in terms of the learning process?
Slight correction, not with this car. When we were at Barcelona, we were with the old spec of car. And that's I think the important learning point, because now you get another line in the sand to draw against, where we went there with a previous aerodynamic solution, and we can compare the two. So very.
Look, well done today. Thank you for your time. And thanks for the thoughts on George as well. Cheers, James. Thanks a lot, mate. Well, guys, I think it's time for final thoughts now. Look, with your racing driver hat on, Marcus, what did you make of the layout of this track?
I thought it was pretty good layout. I thought the sort of tight chicane bit there was maybe a bit... It could have been a little bit more flowy through there, but it did create some good opportunities to attack down to turn 17. So I thought it was, when I first saw it, I wasn't sure about it. The more I saw the cars driving on it and after the race, I'm pretty happy about it. Yeah, I think it was a pretty cool place. I would love to drive it one day, yeah.
And then, Marcus, final question from me to you. Your driver of the day today?
I would pick Max. I think he was, when he needed to be fast, when he needed to pull out some lap time out of that car, he did, and he brought home the victory. Very important for the championship, and I'll pick Max.
Sam, driver of the day?
I'm going to go Valtteri Bottas. If we didn't have that crash late in the race, he would have been on for a top 5. And that Alfa, he's doing the best that he possibly can. He's driving at the peak of his limits, and bravo to him.
I'd say merits to both of those two, but I'm going to say someone different. George Russell, P5 from P12 on the grid, overtook his teammate. Yes, he was helped by the safety car, but you got to be in it to win it. He put the hard tyre on at the start when it must have been really, really hard to get that thing off the line on that hard tyre. He kept it out of the wall. He kept his nose clean, and came home ahead of his world champion teammate.
Yeah, I agree on that one because yes, he was a bit lucky with that safety car, but he did a tremendous first stint, to get those hard tires to work, and he was going faster and faster and faster and opening up, and he was even on the radio saying, let's stay out if there is a safety car or a virtual safety car. He was saying that to the team, exactly. And then that happened. So, you can say he's lucky, but he was also helping the team
He preempted that.
Yeah, exactly.
So that's a very good point.
I think, he definitely put himself in a position to take advantage of that safety car, and he did an excellent race.
For a guy so early in his Formula One career, that is an old head on young shoulders, isn't it?
100%. I think, the way he's been driving this first part of the season, it's been, you don't think he's a new guy in a Mercedes, Okay, he have a couple of years of experience in Williams, but he's driving like a veteran, and it's been very impressive.
Who was the star, the non-F1 star that you most enjoyed seeing? I'm going to start this time. Michael Jordan. Just so cool. I mean, my God, it really was to a penny, wasn't it? There were so many celebrities here this weekend, but for me, seeing Michael Jordan was just awesome. How about you, Sam?
I saw Matt Damon having Jason Bourne at the Grand Prix. That was pretty cool. Look, there was Pharrell Williams. Michelle Obama was here.
Who did you see, Marcus?
So I'll pick Tom Brady then. Since I'm now American, I got to go for he's, so big here in America, and it was cool to see him.
Guys, thank you so much for your time. It has been a phenomenal weekend. F1 Nation is, of course, going to be back on Tuesday, the 17th of May, when we're going to look ahead to the Spanish Grand Prix. But for now, thank you for listening. F1 Nation is produced by F1 and Audio Boom Studios.